All right, welcome everybody to the November meeting of the Kentuckiana FileMaker Developers Group. For those of us joining on YouTube, be sure and check us out live on the fourth Tuesday of every month. Everybody's welcome, so don't be shy if you are just starting out with FileMaker or if you've been working with FileMaker for a long time. Either way, we want all everybody. So everybody is welcome. So be sure and join us. This month we have Jacob Carr, who's going to be doing a presentation that I really enjoyed at Full Access on vibe coding with AI. We happen to be doing a heck of a lot of vibe coding here in this office all day, every day. So I really enjoyed the presentation and talking about it. And so I invited Jacob to come on and do his presentation here for us. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jacob.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate you having me. I'm glad the session was well received at Full Access. That was my first presentation at like a big, I guess, big conference. At least it felt like a big conference. Um, I guess let me go ahead and share here.
Yeah,
Let's see
you
if
should
this
be you should
works.
be able to share. I just turned it on for you, I think. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Seeing presentation. Let's see if this works. Still seeing a presentation?
Yep.
Or
Yep. We
yep.
can see it.
Okay. So the presentation was called Reimagining Development, Vibe Coding's Place in FM BetterForms. Uh, we will touch on FM BetterForms. This focuses kind of like on vibe coding and BetterForms, making some comparisons, and just kind of approaching the question of what is vibe coding overall. Um, So who am I? I am Jacob Carr. I'm the lead developer for web apps at Portage Bay. And my kids call me a super dad.
Nice.
So what are we expecting here? We're going to be looking at vibe coding, what it is, how do you get started, what do you do, what do you need? We're going to be looking at some AI tools. And then lastly, we'll look at FM Better Forms and see how it all kind of connects in that environment. Oh, and if you have any questions while I'm progressing through this, uh, just feel free to stop me. You know, we did it kind of as an open session at Full Access, so everybody was free to ask questions, and I felt like that was really nice. So, what is vibe coding? Well, it's definitely not this guy. Um, Vibe coding is a programming approach that leverages AI to generate code from natural language. Basically, you describe what you want to achieve, and then you have AI translate it. So this into functional code. It's not just a tool, it's a perspective and a methodology. And then basically you're taking your high level concept and then translating it into code. So I think of it as, you're starting a sketch and you're drafting it out, but by the time you finish your draft, it's working. And where did vibe coding come from? Um, so I don't know if you guys have heard of Andre Karpathy. He is one of the co-founders of OpenAI. If you haven't checked him out, uh, he's a very interesting guy. His brain is vast, and I wish I could understand everything that this man says, but alas, I cannot. But he actually coined the reference to vibe coding, and he called it fully giving into the vibes, bracing exponentials, and forgetting the code even exists. So this is where vibe coding kind of originated from, just from a post that he randomly tweeted while working at OpenAI. So it's all vibes, vibes, vibes. And what that is where vibes are the high level intent, your overall creativity, and your personal experience. So those are the things that you bring to the table in terms of the vibe aspect of vibe coding. So being a FileMaker developer, why should we care? Uh, Vibe coding, I think in general, just increases our productivity. We can build things much faster. Obviously, increases our prototyping speed, gives us a different perspective. Now, this is the AI agent assisting us and building it in a method that it thinks is appropriate. And we all have our personal experiences and best practices and ways of approaching things. And we often don't look at what other people are doing. um, and this gives us a different perspective, right? Uh, the AI is building it in patterns that it's probably taking from the web. It tackles ambiguity and it expands our toolkit overall. So vibe coding is going to give you uh, a bunch of new tools to learn, but at the end of the day, you'll have those tools to build new things with. So, how do we vibe code? This magical vibe coding. Well, there's basically three steps to vibe coding, and this is, uh, I guess, opinionated. There's different perspectives. Vibe coding in itself, like I said, is just giving our language, our natural language, and translating it into code using the AI tool, right? Um, but there's different perspectives on what people think vibe coding is. And these are kind of the three steps that some people approach. And I would call this the prototyping phase. So like the let's experiment and see what happens phase. So we focus on the outcome first and we iterate. And above everything else, we auto accept all changes. The AI is in control. We just go with it. So I'll switch over.
Yeah, and that's not dangerous at all.
Yeah, so and this is one of those things where it's like um I'm not sure. Are you still seeing my screen?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, cool. Uh so that's like one of those things like how much control do we give to the AI? How much input should we give to the AI?
Mhm.
There's a bunch of different practices. Like if you have a solid foundation of what you want to build, um, and the security conditions are low, um, I guess it just depends on like what approach you want to take. So
Yeah.
they have ways of like creating a complete prompt outline, telling your agents what they need to do specifically, giving them full access to like sections of your code base, you know, giving a lot more context up front. Those are all valid approaches. This is kind of a, you know, spaghetti at the wall. Let's see what happens. I have an idea that I want to see realized and just overall see if it makes sense, right? You know, we waste a lot of time building something that never goes to production. Uh, and the customer sees it and they don't like it. And then you start over.
Yeah.
Why not build something, get a sense of if it's going to work for them, and then work backwards, right? We've essentially created something that you know we can use going forward. There's going to be enough resources there that you didn't lose too much time.
I would say one of the cool things is that when you start a new project and you come up with an idea, you jump into AI and you start throwing that spaghetti at the wall and early on, I mean it comes together quick and it's like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." Like it puts in a lot of pieces that even I wouldn't have thought of, but as the complexity grows and we build on that, that's when we have to start being cautious of accepting all changes. Sorry, hold on. We got dogs. But yeah, the accepting all changes gets dangerous because especially as it gets more complex because sometimes it'll hit a point where it just starts going the wrong direction and making some changes and it'll break some things, and by the time you realize they're broken, you've already gone, a long way down the road, and then you come back and a previous feature that had been added is broken, and you don't know when it was broken, things like that. So, just my 2 cents worth that. I mean, I love this presentation because this is the way we're coding big time right now, but we're running into all of these different pitfalls that come along with it too. Like,
Yeah.
you really have to you learn, especially we're trying out different AIs right now. We're kind of stuck on Claude. Before that, I was using Gemini, um, and I kind of got used to the mistakes that Gemini will make. And when I kind of recognize when it's like, and I have to say, oh, okay, wait a minute, did you just change something that I didn't ask you to? And it's like, oh yeah, well, I took it upon myself to make these changes. It's like, whoa, slow down. Um, so even with the different models, you get used to how they work in a way that you have to start kind of monitoring and keeping an eye on what they're doing. Um, but that being said, it still it's been such an amazing tool to work with. But yeah, there are days where I'm slamming my head against the wall because it's just getting it wrong. So so yeah,
Yeah, and
I
that's
had to chuckle when I saw the part with accept all changes. It's like, yeah, that can be a little dangerous. You might want to review them carefully sometimes, especially, and it really comes down to the more complex it gets.
yeah.
We have to,
And for this use case, like, I mean, this fits the example of like, you're building something just to see what happens, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, Now you get into the danger realms, like you said, if you're working on an existing code base that's fairly large or
yeah.
complex.
And
Um,
when you're tweaking the more minute and more detailed functionalities that you want built into whatever it is that you're building, as you get into the finer details, that's when it starts to get a little tricky. So, but still couldn't be doing the things that we're doing today without this and it all starts with, hey, I've got an idea and I jump in AI and start throwing spaghetti against the wall. So love it. So,
and that was kind of like my goal for approaching this vibe coding session in general is just like there's a lot of people that are just nervous to like even try out the AI or even
yeah,
see what it does, and it's just a tool. Um, yes, you could destroy code bases if you start straight from there.
yeah,
Uh, but this is just kind of giving you the tools, the examples, like kind of
yeah.
showcasing an environment that you could set up for yourself and just experiment on these things. Everybody has ideas. They need to get them out there.
Yeah. And I'm a
And
big fan of doing that kind of stuff in a sandbox where, you could do no harm anyway. So just, go crazy and see what happens. Because, if I've got it in a development environment or a sandbox where I can't really do any harm, then it's fun to just go nuts. So
so for this section, I'm going to use VS Code. This is my IDE of choice. I love VS Code, and I've been using it forever. Um, I've set up a separate profile that I use. This one's for my FileMaker. So I like to use this profile to build web viewer integrations and things like that. Um, and it's nice to just start from an AI assistant. Actually, learn some cool tools at full access that we're kind of experimenting with. But for this, I just wanted to kind of get some ideas from the audience on what we should build, or not me, the AI. What should the AI build? Any suggestions?
need some need some audience participation.
Let's be creative here. If not, I'll kind of. Oh, is that is there one in the chat?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay. All right. So then I'll run with one. This is one that we did. One of the examples that was shouted out full access was uh, creating um, I believe it was a card or drag and drop. Sorry, drag and drop.
Yeah,
So let's start with that. Let's create,
Yeah, like a drag and drop task system or something like that. I think
and I'm
that's
just
what
going
we,
to preference simple stuff, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I'm going to be explicit on just using vanilla. Let's create using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And drag and drop to-do list. Keep it simple. All right, so what I have right here is actually using Copilot, and I'm using the model Claude Sonnet, which you had mentioned before. And we're working in what's known as agent mode within this environment. I've just told it to, start creating this application. Agent mode, what it does is it just forces the responses to happen, the AI agent to actually start working in the project. There's things that you can enable in VS Code to tell the AI agent to just run and approve everything. Um, I have not set that up, or actually, I might have. We'll see. We'll see if it pops up. If it asks me, then I did not. But there's options for just auto approving. So there's going to be sections where it's probably going to ask me, unless this is very simple, it's just going to go ahead and build everything out, right? So like in this case, I just gave it the task of simple HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and it says that it's done, right? So we're just going to keep the changes that the AI has done, and we're going to see about spinning this up in just a live server. So this is what the AI has designed.
wow.
And that wasn't very long at all.
Yeah, one
The colors
simple,
are kind of scary.
yeah.
uh, but let's see if the general use case is there. Oh, look at that. And can we create a new task? Let's see. Test. Blah, 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 whatever.
There it is.
Oh, perfect. Just like that, we didn't write a single line of code.
Yeah, and it wasn't even
The
a very long prompt.
And it wasn't a very long prompt. So one of the other things that we'll kind of look back when we go back to the slides is there's a few rules that in prompt engineering that people like kind of go by, and those are the three S's, and it's simple, specific, and short.
Hmm.
So those are when you're creating your prompts, like if you have those in the back of your mind, your success is greater. And that just depends on like the project that you're building. So like in this case, we built a full drag and drop component. We'll call it a component, right? Because it's not a full-blown web application. Um, and we gave it some guidelines. We stuck to specific vanilla JavaScript, HTML, and CSS in this case, which will probably be better for us translating it into code for the web viewer later. Um, and probably keep the application in general a lot simpler. But we could have just, gone even further and designed a React application or forced it to use a React framework on top of that JavaScript, right? And then, gave it some more custom libraries like Tailwind or even Sass. Um, but just to keep it simple. Um, And what's nice inside of the Copilot environment or VS Code's environment that's leveraging Copilot, uh, we could actually like save our prompts. So one thing I found like I'm trying to do more of is actually like create these prompt files, and I'm just going to save to user data, and we're going to say drag and drop, right? And then what we can do is actually physically take our command here and then give it our prompt, and we can save this for later. And then having a compilation of prompts to go back to that actually, create something, right? Those are good to have just in general. This is just like something I'm including in my practices now. Uh, Before I was putting everything, and I'm sure you probably do this too, Ron. I think I've seen in your demo, you had crafted out this complex prompt in a Word doc, uh, and I was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's a great idea, just to keep things consistent and have all that context. But I'm also trying to find other tools like in the environment that I normally work in to kind of do that for me.
Yeah.
And messing around and playing with some of those tools.
So one of the things that I do in VS Code, and as I've been kind of bouncing around different AI models and stuff and trying different um, extensions and different AI to find, which ones are going to work best and stuff like that. But one of the things I did is I actually created a Word document that has like initial instructions, like please take things one step at a time. Do not change things I don't ask you to change. Like it's got, and like we're generally working in our WordPress plugin environment, so it kind of describes what we're working with. Either we're working on the plugin itself or we're working on snippets that get fed into the plugin. So we explain that. Like, so I have this prompt laid out. It's about a one-page prompt, but it basically is setting the rules for how it should, work. Do you do anything like that, or have you found something like that?
Yes.
Where I
So
think
so
I've heard
now
some
there's
stuff about like you can create your own agents or something like that, where you can stipulate those rules and kind of,
yeah, so in this environment, there's actually ways of like generating a custom agent or what's known as a custom agent.
yeah,
Um, and if you were to create like your own, they have one that's in here that's actually a new agent that you can leverage. It's called Plan. So like if we just like look at what like this Plan agent is, you can kind of get a general sense of like the kind of information that you're including to the AI to to force it to go in the direction that you want, right? In this case, they're telling the AI that you're a planning agent, not an implementation agent,
hmm,
right? And they're giving it strict guidelines on who this agent is and how they can interact with your environment.
okay,
Um, so
yeah, that's
obviously
about what yeah,
yeah, and these things you can create that environment that you work in CWP snippets, right? Put it in a markdown file in VS Code if that's the direction you wanted to go,
yeah,
and leverage that agent every single time. They know your rules, your best practices. Um, you can fill them in on sections of the code base that they should never touch. Uh,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
so that, I mean, I feel like we're just grasping at like the very beginnings of this AI
Yeah,
cycle. The tools that are coming out now, they just keep expanding upon. Um, and I trying to keep up as best as I can in
yeah,
some environments, but then you get into the groove of finding something that works for you, and I think that's where things are best. Like if you find something that works best for you, just stick with it, right?
yeah,
There's going to be improvements over time. You can glance at those, but once you find something that works for your environment, just continue with it.
yeah. That's been my experience, but also my experience. You know, I was favoring Gemini for quite a while until basically just this week. And the problem was is that Gemini was crashing on me all the time. And it was running into problems and when it would crash, when it would try to recover, it would lose its place and forget its context and it would start trying to do things over again. And so the result was that it was just really royally screwing up my code because it was crashing and then it didn't know where it was to begin with and it was jumping all over the place. So Alex had been using Claude and he was really happy with that. So he convinced me to go ahead and use that. But some of the challenges like, okay, how do I get Claude set up in my uh, VS Code environment? Like learning the VS Code environment, if you're not, I mean, I've only become familiar with it over the past couple of years, and it's really been okay. Uh, I'm working with it a certain way, and I've been doing that for a long time. Now, when I need to like change up how I'm working with it, like, okay, I haven't really learned how to adjust all the different tools and use all the different features and do all that stuff. So now I got to stop and kind of like overcome this learning curve hurdle of, okay, how do I switch AIs and how do I change, so actually the last couple days has been like me uh auditioning Claude, trying to make the transition from Gemini. And so far, so good. I'm really enjoying it, and it's working out really well. But
Now,
Gemini was
is it
working really great for
Gemini?
me for a while, and so I did a lot of amazing things with Gemini, but then it just got to the point where it was like breaking down on me, so I made the switch. So
Yeah. Is it Gemini browser or are you using the
no, it's
Gemini
Gemini
CLI?
and VS Code. There's extensions for Gemini and
Oh,
VS
okay.
Code.
The
So
extensions for it.
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've said
the Cloud will
before,
be in the CLI as well, I believe.
yeah,
Right.
I've said before, I enjoy Gemini because it really kisses my butt. It's like, oh, you're so right, and that's a great idea, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it doesn't make up for the fact that it keeps screwing up my code. So Claude's a little more dry, but so far it's doing a great job. So I'm making the transition over to Claude and Copilot. So
Yeah, some people don't like the praise as much. Some people just disable that or they tell the agent like,
I
don't tell me
kind of
thank
like
you.
it. I kind of like it. Tell you one
So
thing that gets
let's
annoying with it though is that when I'm trying to troubleshoot a bug and it gives me a fix for it, it's so definitive about here's the final fix. This will definitely fix your bug, and then it doesn't work. And you go back and tell it that didn't work, and it tries something else, and it says here's the final fix. This will definitely fix it this time. It's like I the other day it was like 12 prompts in a row and it still couldn't get it fixed, but each and every time it was telling me this will definitely do it. Like, no. So that gets annoying.
All right, so I'm back on the slides here. These are the vibe coding myths. So let's take a look at the myths here. So myth number one. Oops. And it work. It's just for lazy or inexperienced programmers. So this is the most common myth. Non-programmers do use vibe coding to create like simple projects. So probably what we just did would be the lazy programmer approach to some extent. Um, Based on the type of project that we created, these are the type of projects that a lot of like just dabbling in are creating. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but eventually you're going to step up from there and create something much more complex. Um, but you know, the it's just for lazy and inexperienced programmers is incorrect because there are many skilled developers using vibe coding, not just to simplify repetitive tasks, but also like those boilerplate tasks where it's just a lot of, you know, we need to do all this initial setup and we don't want to do it. So let's have the AI do it, right? Um, those types of things are already being leveraged. So vibe coding replaces the need to learn to code. Now it's still the programmer's job. We have to ensure that the quality of the code is in our control, and it's written in a logical sense, right? And we also need to make sure that it's secure. AI is going to make mistakes, and it's still our job as programmers to identify those.
Yeah.
Myth number three, AI generated code is always low quality and risky. Uh, it's true for poorly prompted and unreviewed code, but the risk is managed by the developer, not the tool. And it's only good for simple projects or hobby apps. And this is also incorrect. Uh, Many large companies have already made a push to use AI. They're, adding in complex solutions, MVPs, authentication, payment services. Uh, these are all, being used. And like you said, Ron, even using it in your CWP snippets process.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's very complex, at least behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely grown far more complex than I realized it would when I started it. So,
So now we get to the better form side of things. So FM BetterForms and vibe coding. Um, why FM BetterForms? Well, it bridges FileMaker and the web, visual first, rapid iteration, and integration capabilities. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with better forms or the environment in general, but we're going to kind of briefly take a look at it. I actually was on a call yesterday. Charles Delfs, he reached out to me and he's like, "Hey, you're giving a session at the Kentuckiana group," and I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You want a sneak peek?" And I was like, "Okay." So he gave me a quick sneak peek at some AI tools that are the AI tools that they have currently, but they're making significant improvements to. Um, and the demo that he gave, I don't know if I can replicate, but we'll try. Uh, it was essentially pulling and scraping data from the Claris website, and I thought that was pretty neat. And pulling it into a page and constructing the page, the AI was doing all of the work within the BetterForms IDE. Uh, a lot more than I thought that it was capable of. Before, it seemed like it was focused to components specifically within an environment, but now it seems like it can interact with the application as a whole. So, um, they I feel like are doing some nice things for us as developers, and actually exploring the realms of like AI in general. Um, So we'll jump over here to better forms. Um, and actually, let me do one thing here. So the project that I'm going to show you kind of stemmed from some inspiration. And let me find the one I want. Yeah, this should work. What do we have here? This one, this one. Okay, pull this over here. And we'll run. So this is another application that was built with AI. And this was me and my wife, our daughter, she's being homeschooled this year, kind of a decision on our part. And we're new to the homeschooling realm. My daughter is autistic, and we had a problem with kind of finding learning material for her. And me and my wife sat down, we were going through like, trying to look for sessions or lessons for her, what she could work on and kind of figure out like her skill level and things like that. Um, and we kind of got to a point where like none of these things exist, at least not in an easy use case. At the time, I was playing around with the AI environments, and I was like, hey, let's explore this idea a little more. Um, and we decided to approach building a web app that could focus on generating this type of material. Now I'm still working on this, but then I kind of leveraged this for the focus of my full access presentation, to create something in better forms using AI tools that presently existed, um, and see what I could create. So this is the first replication of the AI kind of assisting in the avenue of the direction of where I should kind of take this learning assistant. And then the final iteration is here, which is being served through BetterForms now as a web application. And this is what we're going to kind of try to tinker with. This is a fictitious company, homeschool help. Maybe it'll become something. But right now we're just exploring the realms. The next thing for me is kind of connecting this generates AI material with an N8N service. So the routine would be funneled through FileMaker, which would call the N8N routine to generate custom learning material, right? Depending on your student, right? But all the information on the student, the parent, you record into the FileMaker database essentially. So within FM BetterForms, this is that page. They actually have a drag and drop now. Before this didn't exist, we used to leverage everything through like a JSON schema. BetterForms itself, its environment, is leveraging like a bunch of different libraries. Uh, this development interface is leveraging a bunch of different tools. So it's kind of like an opinionated design view. It's based on a framework also, so it's using Vue.js behind the scenes. So you can see here, like these are all now components, right? Taken from the AI that I've created in here. But they were all based on the main concept of the initial AI's design. But we need to wire them up on the back end to actual data, right? So within here, before we could just control an environment through our handy dandy AI assistant here and target specific things on the page. At least that's what I believe to be the behavior before. And we actually experimented with this in the full access session. Now, what I'm going to look at is I've just made a copy of my existing page, and I want to overhaul this page to be something else and entirely, right? We're just going to go with completely different design. So in here, we're going to say, let's see, fetch data from my cheat here. I'm going to steal this from here, so I don't have to type it. Fetch event data. Oops. If I can type. All right. We're just going to run with this. This was not exactly the prompt that Charles had done, but I'm going to attempt to create something here with this prompt and see if what he's saying is the web request fetch will be made, and we'll actually get some Kentuckiana file group events and listed out here in cards, right? That's the idea. Now he did say that this is new, so hopefully the demo gods allow this to happen. But there's nothing to show indicators right now, so we're just going to kind of see what happens. We'll let it sit for a little bit and see if it creates something. Oh, it did come back with something, but I'm not seeing anything happening to the UI here.
You may want to tell it to override the current page since it's taking opinions from what's there.
Gotcha. that Hassan?
Yeah.
Override the current page with nice UI. We have one of the gurus here. He's president of the group. Hopefully this will work.
By the way, I'm still with you. I've just had to step away for a minute, but I put you on my phone while I'm away from
Oh
my
yeah,
desk.
yeah.
So
Not a problem. Not a problem. We're using BetterForms AI Assistant. Some kind of sneak peeks, early access stuff. Even though I think it exists in production now, so everybody can leverage this. But Charles will probably do a more in-depth review at a later session, I'm sure. But just to kind of give a sneak peek here, since we're in this meeting.
yeah, I was just thinking I should reach out to Charles and see if I can get him on the schedule for the spring. So see if he'll come join us here.
Yeah, he might. He just actually before this, I was on a DevCast meeting for Portage Bay, and Charles Delph was our guest. He was doing a session on ham.
Yeah, he's done a session on FM BetterForms in the past. I think it might have been over a year ago now. So he's due to come visit us again.
Yeah. So it looks like it's doing something. We're giving the power to AI. Obviously, the app environment that I'm adding this to is demo material, and some of it's the full access homeschool help, fictitious company material, but hopefully it adds something here. Uh, Still waiting. Now, I think Charles said that the engine that's running the AI assistant is GPT's 5.1 Codex Mini. So that's kind of what's operating behind the scenes. I did hear some reports of that model being a little slow, but it it's supposed to be optimized. But we all know how, I mean, I'm sure the context that he's providing to this is very vast. This is kind of like giving a ton of context about the working environment that's here, right? And looks like we might have a failure here. Oh, is Sasan still there?
Yeah, it might be due to the prompts you used initially, back to back. If you did that whole prompt as one together, where like override the page and then fetch this as one entire prompt, I think that would be better. So you
All
could just
right,
maybe refresh and then just do that again.
let's try it out.
Yeah, and at the start you can say override this page and fetch. I wonder if it's tripping up with the create ads, but I doubt it.
Yeah, probably my typo. Should be create cards. That adds. we'll see what happens here. Um, we can take some questions also. This is essentially the end of my slides and my session for full access. Uh, represented here for the Kentuckiana group. Oh, you're muted, Ron. Muted.
So in FM BetterForms, with the AI and stuff, is there a cost involved with using AI in FM BetterForms, an additional cost to uh, the FM BetterForms cost, or how's that
If there
work?
is one, I'm not receiving one.
Okay.
There's actually no cost right now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, if that changes, it's up to their team, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've dabbled with enough AI environments to find the costs that could be possible there, and they're
Yeah.
rather significant in some cases,
And
depending
of
on.
course, like I'm sure everybody else in the world is doing right now with CWP snippets, we're planning on evaluating, is there a way that we can pull AI directly into CWP snippets environment and have access right from there. So we're just, we've got so much else to do since, I mean, this is just a newly launched product to begin with. So we've got a lot of other stuff that we're trying to get lined out, but on our short list of things to do, like next year, is going to be trying to see what we can do to integrate an AI environment into the CWP snippets environment. So that's going to be some of the stuff that we'll be looking at as well.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the future of FileMaker. Maybe
Yeah, AI and
maybe
FileMaker.
we'll get that assistant there, right?
Yeah. One interesting thing with FileMaker and AI, and I think I heard that there's somebody working on it, but like to use AI to write scripts and things like that, you can't just copy and paste them into FileMaker like you can with, web code. You can just copy and paste into your code, whereas you can't do that with like if you ask AI to write a FileMaker script. Um, but I think somebody out there is working on something where it basically breaks it down to the XML and it converts it so you can actually be able to start copying and pasting from AI, which would be that's definitely one of the drawbacks. I don't use it very much for anything that I'm doing in FileMaker because FileMaker is my world. I can do all that myself. Um, and as a matter of fact, even when I've asked it to help with writing functions and things like that, even that has some uh, doesn't translate well. Like you copy the function from AI and put it directly into FileMaker, and it fails because the comments sometimes are in the wrong place, or it misses a semicolon, or things like that. So uh, there's
Yeah.
definitely some. It's not as convenient to use if you're trying to use it to help develop in FileMaker. But with web coding, it's so geared towards just copy the code and paste it where you need it. It's beautiful. So, but we'll see where that
Yeah,
goes.
we shall see it. And I'm not sure if this is gonna finish or not. Um, so we may just leave this.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was
maybe
hoping to
just
have it create something, but
wonder if
I
you
mean
could just
before
leave
at
it.
least it fetched the data, but now I'm not
Yeah,
seeing anything.
yeah. I mean, that was pretty impressive in itself that it could reach out and fetch the data in the upcoming events. So
There
I
seems
was
to be.
excited to see it because, normally it's such a struggle to get presenters lined up. It's very rare that like right now I have the next 3 months already lined out. So I was like, oh, cool. It can show like the upcoming events and stuff like that. So because they're on the website.
I think it's working. It's just very slow because looking
Yeah.
at the AI
I mean,
service.
we've got time. We can just,
Maybe bandwidth. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll
we've
see
got
what
time.
happens with it. I can leave it
Jacob?
running there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacob? do you want to try to select page on the top left corner of your page, that little blue tag, and then try again? Because
I think Hassan said it was working. The context, I thought before like it had to be specific to context, but it sounds like Charles has changed that now with the latest version.
Yeah.
So you
Okay,
can just say it overall.
I'm trying it, Hassan. I'm trying it in my version here, and it's giving me the same exact errors. And the feedback I get is that we do need to give it some context.
Interesting. That might be the case. Let me just take a look.
It's a new update.
Yeah, this just came out.
Bound to be bugs.
I can't edit from this view, actually. That's pretty strange because I never had that.
I can let it run and see what happens.
Yeah, our group actually runs for another hour anyway. So, I mean, we don't always make it to the end of the next hour, but we have time.
There's a couple other tools that are features that I was going to showcase for BetterForms in here. Just things that I didn't know existed. I thought were kind of interesting just to share
Sure.
for those BetterForms developers that are amongst the group. One of the things that was shown to me was components. So now if you're using the drag and drop, you can actually pull in any of your created components straight from the drag and drops. And actually, components in itself got an overhaul. To exit without saving. So here, I didn't even know this existed until yesterday. But there's a component gallery. And maybe I missed one of the Friday lives that had happened where they showcased this, but now you can actually select from pre-made community generated components. And if you're familiar with components essentially just are fully designed UI blocks of code that you can import into your page. So like the one I added was this file select button, but they also have ones that are based on WebAwesome. So I'm not sure if any WebAwesome fans out there. No?
Alex is. Yeah. Alex is a fan.
Alex is a fan. But yeah, WebAwesome's pretty cool. I mean, just including like a CDN and having all these like pre-built components accessible, like that. I feel like they did a good job.
Also seems like your own was right. It's working if you select the page and then do the call.
Interesting. Okay.
It might be overlooked. So if you click tree on the left-hand side, and then click page body, and then now if you prompt it the same way, pretty much. You could click the top right to reset it as well. Yeah. The one to the left to minimize, yeah.
Yeah, to create a new session. So then it still needs, I mean, technically that would mean that it would still need specific context. So he hasn't, it's not quite context insensitive just yet, at least.
Yeah, it should be. This just looks like some sort of issue. But that's what happens when you just release for everyone to be the live testers.
I told Charles I'd do a little sharing at this Kentuckiana developers group just to throw it out there. He did take the time to meet with me yesterday and show me some cool stuff. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, no problem.
And the nature of the vibes.
I don't know when we started, did John, I guess Alex and I were working on trying to get the front door fixed, but did you talk about full access for 2026? We've got the new location and the date set. John Howell, did he mention that at the beginning of the meeting?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
He did not mention it to the recording.
Oh, well, that's
So it was before the recording.
yeah.
But anyone on during that now knows.
Yeah, we do have it up on the full access website, the new dates and the location and everything, so that people can sign up to be notified when registration's open and everything. And it's going to be in Asilomar Conference Grounds in Pacific Grove. Although when I talked about it on Richard Carlton's show, he seemed to think that it was not in Pacific Grove, but I forget where he thought it was. But anyway. Yeah, so we're moving forward with that. We're excited for next year.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that I get to attend again. I
Yeah,
thought it was an awesome experience.
yeah, yeah. Real excited. I don't know if you've taken a look, but I immediately after went and overhauled the website with a new design that I'm really happy with too. So if you get a chance to check it out at fullaccess.us. And speaking of which, Dean Surge just joined us. So
I
You
did,
can-
all the way from Oregon.
yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had the aesthetic skills that you do. Not just the technical skills, but the aesthetic skills as well. Good
Well,
job.
Jacob's been pretty much coming to the end of his presentation, and we were looking at some AI stuff in FM BetterForms, and
Hey,
then we
Jacob.
just kind of was waiting on it to work on some stuff and got into some other conversations, but we started talking a little bit about the upcoming full access.
Jacob, I think the issue is it's just since this is the soft release beta, it's having issues fetching stuff from that website specifically. I think if you just like refresh and just tell it to like revamp your page or do something else, it should work just fine. I think it's just fetching from that specific website is having issues.
that was the focus.
Yeah. I will
Always
say,
helpful
I
to
mean, it did get some event data from the website though, didn't it? Didn't it show that in the
it did
chat?
pull some data before, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, in the initial chat sessions, it pulled like at least three, I think, I
Yeah.
saw that were constructed there.
Yeah.
But it didn't do anything with the page.
Right. Yeah, that would have been really impressive for the Kentuckiana group to do the Kentuckiana website. Would have been a neat trick if you could have pulled it off.
But we could do it in our IDE, but we were
Yeah.
trying to do it with the BetterForms model.
Yeah. No, that's all
Um,
right.
the other thing I was going to highlight here in BetterForms is just oop, there goes my headphone. Uh, Figma. So now you can I don't know if there's any designers amongst the group. I don't use Figma really, but we have people on our team that create the designs ahead of time, and then we go back into Better Forms and recreate what was done in Figma. Now they've included a plugin in Figma, so you can generate components straight into FM Better Forms.
Oh, wow. I have no idea what Figma is, but
It's a design tool. So if you're for those that are familiar, uh, it just lets you visualize what you're going to create beforehand, right? So like constructing entire UI and like I guess compare it to like Illustrator, or maybe that's a bad comparison, but those types of tools.
yeah.
I don't use Figma myself, but
Yeah.
we have people on our team. So
Is it like building reusable components, that kind of thing? Or
So it's I guess the tool itself gives you access to like building UI components or whole scale UIs, right? So
Oh, okay.
um, it's not that they're working, it's just like the design aspect of it. So like
Gotcha.
the elements that they create, they'll have like padding, the margin will be established, like the overall spacing in the
Yeah.
page, whether it's flexing and those types of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have
All right.
for you. I was hoping that AI feature would work, but
Yeah, that's
alas, it's
okay.
still pretty new. So
Yeah. But no, that was a fun presentation. I enjoyed it then. I enjoyed it now. It's fun stuff to work with AI.
yeah, I just hope
It's
that everybody gets a chance to at least explore it. You know, if it's something that you're straying away from, like don't be scared. It's just a tool. Like
yeah,
you can easily leverage these things.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, it can get a little intimidating with all the different interfaces, all the different models, like which one do you go with? How do you set things up? Some of it can be a little bit daunting, but we're kind of wading our way through it. Like I said earlier, with in Visual Studio, trying to figure out how to set up the different AIs so we can try out the different ones and figure out which ones we're going to settle on and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
but it's an exciting new world, and it's really changing so rapidly too, because I know when I first started using Gemini, God, and it was probably 9 months ago or a year ago, something like that. And I was like, man, it'd be really nice if you can come back to the context and not lose it every time you close the, Visual Studio and be able to refer back to your prompt history and all that kind of stuff. And then before long, that all got introduced, and it's like, oh, okay, now I can do that. So yeah,
Yeah, now they have, I mean, if you want, I guess we could look at some of the tools that they have there. At least I don't know all the environments, but I can share what I know of VS Code.
yeah,
But they have like some sections here. So like this is literally agent sessions.
yeah,
So like you can track your entire history build here. If there was one that was saved, in
right,
this case, we just the one that we opened, I copied, so it doesn't have anything.
yeah,
But what's interesting is now you can have those agents running in the cloud as well as like the CLI. So
yeah,
like if you're interacting with like GitHub Actions and you've established a cloud agent there to like run some like tasks on your repo.
then you
I
can,
think one that I seen was that was common was like people uh, do like an agent there to kind of like tread through bug issues and then report them back. Um, but those types of things are possible. You could even manage them straight from in VS Code now.
oh wow,
So if one was running in your environment, you can enable or stop it from here, right?
yeah,
But yeah, it's it's cool that they have those. I mean, like like we said before, it's just there's so many things to keep track of. It's
yeah.
kind of can be overwhelming at sometimes, but
It's a lot of tools. It really reminds me of, if anybody has got any graphic design background with working with Photoshop. Like Photoshop just has such an enormous amount of tools, and trying to, and palettes and all that kind of stuff, and trying to learn them all. You know, I did,
yeah.
that was kind of my thing
But I
for
think that's the
many
thing. Like
years.
you like that. I think there's a like a tendency to want to learn them all, but
Yeah,
like you should just like stray away.
yeah,
There's a lot of things there that you probably won't ever need to use.
yep,
And then if you do, you'll dial in to find that thing that you want it
yeah.
to behave like.
Yeah, that's
Um,
exactly what it's been like. I mean, I've been doing graphic design for a couple decades, and kind of, grew up through the all the different iterations of Adobe and Photoshop and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's still basically that core group of the functionality that I use surrounded by massive amounts of functionality that I've never used and probably never will. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, I find myself kind of like taking like a slower approach to the AI environment in terms of like kind of the fast forward agent mode that I showed you and shared
Yeah.
isn't the approach that's taken as much anymore, right?
Yeah.
Unless there's like just a random experiment that somebody's like, oh, hey, it'd be great if we could do this. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, well, let me go see. But now like I like to start with like an outline. So like they have this new plan mode, right? So you've had the discussion with your client and your client is interested in building, a product, right? And um, they want to understand like what this product looks like. You've gone through, you've created your statement of work, those types of things. Um, you know, Going into the planning and research phase, outlining kind of the main goals of like what you're trying to build. Now the assistants or the agents in here will create full markdown files for you of like the complete plan.
Yeah.
And then you can say, all right, let's, enact the plan, right?
Yeah.
And then it'll go down the list. And you could have it stop. You could tell it to stop on each plan item, right? So you can review it,
Yeah.
which is super nice. So then you're sticking to the plan, you're tackling items, the AI is following this outline that you've already instructed it on. And it's a good like progression use case. So like the AI is in that essence your complete assistant.
Yeah. Yeah. What I'm balancing right now is, I want to learn to use all of these different tools to be able to use the AI, to its most potential. But at the same time, I've got just a tremendous amount of work that I need to do. So, like, I'm spending all my time coding and using AI to code, but I find like right now, I'm like, oh, I wish I had the time to take just a few days or whatever to explore these tools and learn how to use these tools. But right now, I've got to, like, I don't have the time. So that's kind of the struggle I'm at right now. Like, I know that there's so much more potential with what we could be using, how we could be using it and getting the most out of it. But I'm also like under the gun to get a whole lot of stuff done. So yeah,
Yeah, and it's also a lot harder. Like, I feel like AI does fit like particular niche in like starting new.
yeah,
Uh, Once you just you start new and you have it already in there, and it's in the progression table,
yeah,
and you're working with it actively for that project. It's completely different than trying to integrate it into an existing one.
yeah,
Um, because there's a lot of things that you just don't want the AI to touch.
yeah, yeah.
Like, please don't mess up the server-side code.
Yeah. Well, Alex has been dealing with it getting confused. He's working on a project now, and it starts to leak in some previous stuff that from a previous project he was working on.
Don't flush the memory manually on it
So it was like,
3 months ago stuff and integrating that had nothing to do with each other.
yeah, it was referencing instructions from past workflow. I was like, yeah, we're not working on that anymore. You literally had to specifically tell it, we're not working on that anymore. So, but I'm sure, the tools probably give like some of the stuff we were looking at, there's probably a way to separate those projects into their own, project so that, they all that stuff is kept separate. We kind of have to look into that kind of stuff. So I know for me, like working with Gemini was prone to a lot of crashes. And every time you crash, a lot of times it was like if you're working in a single prompt in a single project and that prompt gets long, like you've been working in the same prompt for a long time, it starts to just break down and crash. So I have to start a new prompt, but then I got to feed it all the information all over again so that it even knows what we're working on. So I'm hoping,
Yeah.
yeah, that's when it's like, okay, now I gotta tell it what we've already done because it doesn't have the context anymore of everything that we've already done because that thread crashed. So, yeah, but hopefully I get better luck with Claude because that was getting frustrating with Gemini.
Backups and branching
Yeah,
save your life for
yeah,
everything.
yeah. Well, to be honest with you, we're still trying to figure out how to learn how to use GitHub and have everything backed up there, and that's a whole another learning curve that, you
We
know,
just don't use it very much for FileMaker purposes in
yeah,
any sense, or at least our team's not actively doing it. I think people have approaches that
yeah,
they do for that, but seems
yeah.
like more work than it's worth.
As a FileMaker developer, it's not part of our, workflow. The vast majority, I don't know of any FileMaker developer that is using GitHub as a repository for FileMaker development, but uh,
Yeah,
you know,
mainly housing for our web projects and just like even utilities. So like a lot of our web viewer applications that get written.
yeah,
Before we weren't doing anything with them; they just lived in
yeah,
file. I was like, no, we need to be pushing these to the repository.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to get up to speed with doing all that. But like I said, I mean, as I'm a, you know, I've got a long history of FileMaker development and a short history of web development. So it's a FileMaker all those years just wasn't something we used. So then,
Yeah, I'm only, I guess this would be year 6 for me in the FileMaker realm.
yeah,
Very cool.
Yeah.
I think I'm
But
approaching.
I love the FileMaker community. I think
Oh
that
yeah,
amongst the communities, like it's one of the better groups for developers. Like everybody's like so willing to share and like
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
everybody seems so cool. So it's like I
yeah.
was a little nervous going to the conference and then I met everybody. I was like, how was I even nervous?
Oh yeah. Since the first pause on error that I went to, I was a little overwhelmed. The first conference I ever went to was 2018 DevCon, and that was a little overwhelming because it was so big. But at the same time, I've been wanting Claris to bring that kind of stuff back because, I loved it, but it wasn't as easy to. I mean, it was like smaller groups. I met some people it was really great, and the people I met were really embracing. But you've got so many people that you don't get a chance to meet so many of them. But then
Yeah.
I went to pause on error. Now you're dealing with a smaller group, and you get the opportunity to feel like you've been so much more a part of the group because you interacted with a larger percentage of the group. I think maybe that's what I'm kind of getting to, but yeah, so we're hoping with full access to not grow too big and get to that point where you get lost in the crowd. Because it's really great. It's been like pause on error was just like life changing for me. Like I went to the first pause on error and that I went to and just was like, oh my God, this is like yeah, I couldn't believe like it had such a profound effect on me because, I already loved the FileMaker community, but it just made me love the FileMaker community so much more. So,
Yeah. Yeah. This was my first, or full access was my first. And um, I was not expecting the experience that I got. And
yeah,
I liked it. It was
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I'm with you though. FileMaker Full Access was my first opportunity to do a conference presentation. So, I mean, I've done stuff here at Kentuckiana because I kind of got thrown into taking it over a few years back, and so there have been times, months where we didn't have anybody, and so I jumped in and kind of did a little something. But that was my first structured, slideshow presentation, and definitely in front of a live audience at a conference. So yeah, I got that same kind of that same experience of a first time thing. So yeah,
Oh, you did awesome. I
as
enjoyed your
did you,
presentation.
as did you. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. So Alex has got his camera on the side of my head again.
Yeah, you got up. It was funny. I guess you must have like some zoom setting on there
Yeah, we didn't even
because
know
it
that
it
camera had all that, but it
it
synced pretty.
autofocused you.
Yeah, autofocused me. Didn't even know that it had that. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Yeah,
It was definitely a pleasure having you, and we'll look forward to seeing you. You know,
yeah,
when the next big thing comes along, let us know when you've got something else. Anytime you got something exciting you want to share with us, we're glad to have you back. So I appreciate it.